news is, within the same period, about 120 new million jobs will also be created. But all of them are linked to new information and communication technologies, which means any nation, any society or community that does not invest in these technologies is at risk. And for us in the universities, for example, the challenge is for us to look at our curriculum. What kind of training are we giving our students, let's say in the north? Today, Nigeria has 309 universities. 168 are private, 67 are state government owned, and 74 owned by the federal government of Nigeria. Now, if you do the calculation, how many of them are in the north? And for those that are in the north, what kind of courses do we teach to bring up the next generations of professionals, scholars, leaders, and those who will sustain the society? Not to talk of those that are out of school, but even those that are in school. Today, NELFON, a federal government initiative, is being given. I remember in my last convocation lecture, one of the things I said was to challenge the state governments, not a challenge, rather to plead with them. The federal government is giving money to our children here in Gombe, in Adamawa, in places. What are you doing as state governments to support your own indigents who are barely poor and are struggling through the system? To the best of my knowledge, in that university, only the Kano state government once wrote to me as a vice chancellor to give them the list of Kano indigents in that university. I did it, sent it to the state government, and they sent money to the university to pay for their service charges. I took the balance the university. Now, when you have leads, do not that they should invest in the education of their children, then there is a problem. Look at the quality of the schools we have. Look at the quality of the primary schools that we have. Apart from that, no any other state thought of giving a kobo to its indigents, except the federal government NELFON. And I worked hard to ensure that before leaving that university, out of the 15,000 students I had in the school, at least 10,000 were accessing NELFON. And you can imagine the impact of that amount on the lives of the students and even on the management of the university. Now, when you have leaders who do not even believe that they should invest in the education of their children, then there is a problem. Look at the quality seated here. In all honesty, have your children in LEA primary schools. I went to LEA primary school, government secondary school, government-owned university, and I have given lectures in Harvard, in Yale, in Cambridge, and other places. I attended my schools on in Adamawa, Borno, in Nigeria. On secondary school, why are we now in the 70s? In the 80s, our parents paid. Our governments paid. I was president of the Students' Union in University of Maiduguri, and every scholarship board was coming to pay students' scholarship promptly. Today, the money is more, yet the releases are just not there. This is formulation and implementation. When leaders in or out of Nigeria see and read stories about specific places, they avoid such places. Today, send a team from Abuja here, tell them go to northern Borno to go and do a feasibility study for something, they won't go. Or go to Go's area, They were excluded from national policies. Then today, these things also alienate our young people. If you say you are from so state, the first thing is what? No, nobody is sure of you. And most dangerously, we have provincialized and localized our educational system. It's possible for me today in Bayero University to have a child. That child will go to Bayero Primary School. In leadership in the rural areas because that manipulate NYSC posting, he will serve in Kano, and then because I have some friends in Abuja, bring him to Abuja, he will come and occupy a very sensitive position and decide about Borno and Rivers. He has never traveled out of Kano, perhaps only once to go to Yola. How can you have someone who is informed about Nigeria, feelings for people who are in the rural areas? Today we have them in leadership. They do not even know what is happening at the rural areas because there have been people that are built on privileges. So, and above all, nothing happens. So what do we mean by reimagining? I thank Alhaji Ramalan and his team for coining the phrase reimagining the North. This is based on concept of identity in our minds. There are two concepts of identity in sociology: ascribed identity and acquired identity. By nature, northern Nigeria is the land where we are all. It's ascribed, whether you like it or not, this is the place. You can't change it. But acquired identity, the kind of crisis that we're experiencing today is acquired. We brought it onto ourselves. So we can also change it. I cannot change the fact that I'm a man, but I can change my qualifications. I can change my position because they are acquired. So when we talk of reimagining, we are talking about rethinking. Like period statistics. How many of in school, how many of people are dying, how many of this, how many of that. Now, and if you don't think you can innovate, somebody will do the thinking, you become a beneficiary. So you must live within his own thinking. So what kind of image do we want to see? Nobody will come and give it for you. You construct the image you want to see. It is repositioning. What is our position? The statistics given out by our leaders, and the statistics are not secret. You can just access them. They appear as how many of this, how many of that. Now, if position, like in the universities, we are trying to retool, we are trying to rethink through our curricula so that we can bring up the next generation of professionals. So in the North, what kind of position are we envisioning? Do we still remain last on the list of JAM successful candidates? How many of our candidates pass WAEC? How many of our universities are in each location? Look at the statistics always, and look at the last 6, 7 states. Poverty in from wherever, look at the statistics. Look at the last 6, 7 states always. You do not need to predict. You can simply say they are so and so and so. So if we want to change that position to a better position, then we have to think and come up with ideas. And when we talk of thinking, critical thinking, not press thinking, like he said. We have to think critically. And in critical thinking, it will be both sweet and bitter. There are moments when you have to take necessary but very painful decisions in your life for success in the future. Then, of course, we have to redefine who are we in the context of the Nigerian nation in Africa and even globally. Who are we? What are we known for? From what used to, from what we are, from where we are today. I was once introduced at a gathering in Lagos. I was to deliver a lecture. Then the MC said, hey, a Fulani professor, blah, 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 blah. I felt terribly sad. So when it came to my turn, I said, I'm not going to speak because I reject the description of a Fulani professor. I did not become a professor because I'm a Fulani. I was not invited to this gathering because I'm a Fulani. And no Fulani ever supervised my thesis, not even to assess my professorship. I am not saying I'm not a Fulani. I'm a Fulani 100%. I'm not rejecting that. But this description was done in bad faith. I demand a retraction, or I take my bag and go away. So down the man came and apologized. He said, oh, sorry, he did not mean anything. I said, but why should I be stereotyped, or why should I be given that appellation? Why did you not say the Igbo chairman, or the Yoruba personality that have come to give his birthday lecture? Why is it my own that you have to call my own? Is it that the Fulanis have never produced a professor, or what? That I'm the first? So you see, these are some of the stereotypes, and we have to reject. And you can only reject by providing competence and confidence that make up what credibility is. You acquire credibility. So we also must re-narrate. The narration now is not good for any one of us. We don't like it, but what do we need to do? It's not enough to complain. Yes, you have complained, and so what? What specific measures have we taken? Then, of course, we must reconstruct. We have to reconstruct by representing. And the reconstruction should not be in the image of someone else, but in the image that we want. We have been accusing the colonialist, we have been accusing so and so, but now it is our time. So what image do we want? We have to reconstruct it. Nobody will do it for you. Then, of course, reconciliation. Currently, we know that there are a lot of deficit of trust, a lot of mistrust, and a lot of fights, intra-groups, Today, some people are even telling you that the Hausas and the Fulanis, they are fighting each other. Then that will be the worst. Not to talk of the other groups that people have been staying with all along together, religiously, ethnic-wise, even at the level of social status, people are fighting. So we have to reconcile ourselves. There's no way we can develop when one group is looking east, another group is going west, another group is south, going up or down. So we must also initiate the process of reconciliation that could build the basis of trust upon which other things could follow. Then, of course, we have to, like I said, envision the kind of future that we want. So the required transition is from dependency to productivity. Often you hear people telling you that you are a dependent, you are a parasite, you are this, you are that. But then the potentiality and the resources are all available. It means we have to look inwards, and we must also understand that oil is no longer the global resource base. Today, people are talking about knowledge-based economy. People are talking about information and communication technology, and they're making resources, and we have all the potentiality, not to talk of the natural resources under the ground. So it's a matter of understanding division of labor and comparative advantage that each one of us has in our context and within the Nigerian Federation. That perhaps could give us our own independence and our own unique personality, as well as our own unique voice to be able to speak. As we say in the media, economic independence determines editorial independence. You cannot speak when you are economically weak. It means we have to look at our economic base. You don't need to go to any Marxist book. It is common sense. So, and our elites must also be willing to give accounts and remain transparent to the people of the North. In every society, you have 5 categories of elites. political elites, military elites, bureaucratic elites, intellectual elites, and business elites. Today, if you are to do a critical analysis of the performance of the typical northern Nigerian elite, let's say in the last 20 years, go to any state, look at their elites, do an analysis of their behaviors, their contributions, and their performance. You'll be disappointed. We did not only devalue our currency, we have also devalued our characteristics and behaviors, particularly in the north. The liberalization also affected the behavior of the people in the north, and we are seeing the consequences. Today, we do not even have people who can say there are leaders that can speak and people can listen and follow in most of our states. And you can see the consequences across the political parties, across governments, across this, across that. And today, what do we have? Alternative leaders are rising and staying in the forests, easily commanding attention and garnering people. We did a walk in Lake Chad area. I led a group of consultants to do a work for, I think, the International Labour Organization and WHO on some aspects in the Lake Chad. That was before Boko Haram. I swear I almost predicted Boko Haram in that report. We went round the entire Lake Chad area. What I saw frightened me. There was no Boko Haram at that time. It was peaceful. But there were all sorts of communities on the Lake Chad. No governance at all. But people were there making huge sums of, in the day they would spend the day on the waters. In the evenings, come back. They will be dancing all night with all sorts of people, girls, boys, and you have business people, you have all sorts of drugs. There is no way you can go to that place and think that something will not eventually happen. Few years later, a leadership emerged, organized them, and we could see the consequences all overnight. And at that time, we calculated the amount of fish that was being carried out of Lake Chad alone in billions. As at then, our people in economics department did the calculation. Onion, fish, this, that, out of Lake Chad alone. New Marte has generators that could supply the entire Northeast with electricity if you don't know. New Marte, the generators were fixed by former President Shagari's government under the new Chad scheme, irrigation scheme. I don't know whether the generators are still there or not. And today, New Marte is almost inaccessible. So not to talk of the agricultural potential. So all these are fragmented identities must change to regional identity so that we could have a feeling that all of us are in Nigeria, but in the context of the North, and these are our challenges. We have to transform the North to an educated zone that is economically productive and digitally competitive. Today, there is no way you can talk about development without talking about digital capacity. As a professor in Bayero University, Kano, before becoming a vice chancellor, I got a grant. And what I did with part of that grant, we have to equip our institutions. And you could see how ASU strikes and all of these things are happening on a daily basis. And once you bring out people who are poorly equipped, you should wait for the consequences in the large body of the society. We have to invest. And we must remain entrepreneurial and be environmentally adaptive. And we must also continue to talk about an issue that many of us try to avoid. Some of our social issues, the way the population continue to increase in the north, and the moment you speak Jinin Saya Halata, you have crossed the line. People marry anyhow, and when you speak, the area here is almost like a victim. And these are the realities. And like he said, some people misuse religion for the size of their pockets and give all sorts of to a society where there is high level of illiteracy, squalor, hunger, poverty. So religion becomes what? Like the saving grace. And so people misuse religion to further confuse them. And we are seeing the consequences. We are harvesting the consequences today in this country, and it will be worse. Northern Borno, for the past 20, 15 years, children have not been going to school. In the next 50 years, if everything is settled, what will you do with this generation that have missed opportunities of going to schools? They have missed their milestones. So what will happen to them? Not to talk of the number that we already have. I'm just talking of Northern Borno, I'm talking of Zamfara and other places where schools have also been operating at very low rates. And nobody seemed to bother. As if, anyway. So what happens in the next 15 years? What happens in the next 20 years? We are growing almost at 3.4 population. No opportunities. We are not expanding the opportunities, particularly in the north. And if the opportunities are not expanding, the number of those who seek to eat are increasing. What will happen? Certainly God will not come down to give you the food. So what are you doing with your own creative ability to provide the food? And what efforts are we making to create awareness in the minds of our people that these are the challenges and the dangers? Facing us. Not even intellectually can you speak, because you fear of the consequences of what will happen if you speak. So you keep quiet. So the media has power, and I congratulate Alaji Lamar the bull by the horn, operating an independent media organization in North. It's a huge challenge. It's like to every meeting. I mean, we might be interested in our economy, through the kind of narrative power all over the world. And future one way to insist. Then knowledge, and above all, economic productivity. Your Royal Highness, sir, the chairman of the occasion, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the discussion is extensive. The issues are intensive, but the time is just not on our side. Cycles in our communities, we can further be provoked to be raising some of these critical issues many of us wouldn't want to talk about, but we have to open up, talk, and always insist on what the truth is. The North don't have time. We must wake up and do so peacefully and ensure that the world will not wait for us.
Thank you, sir. Gentlemen, please. First, who, because prior engagement, asked to do us now, so it will be escorted by the convener. But in doing so, we thank you very much for coming. When you know but the issues that were raised, we have achieved the aim. So please, anytime you are invited to speak about your environment, it is very important that you attend. We thank you very much, sir. With that, we will continue. We will have the goodwill messages, and then immediately after that, we'll go on tea break. Do you have the list of
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you so much. We'll be moving to the goodwill messages at this point. Please, I would like us to please settle down. Please settle down. I'll run through the list of those who will be giving us their list, their goodwill messages. We have Malan Garba Shehu, the chairman of the Northern Media Group. We have the DG NBC, the DG ARCON. We have the national president of the NUJ, the Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria Executive Secretary, Dr. Yemi Bangbushe, the national president of Nigerian Association of Women Journalists. We also have with us in our midst, recognizing Haja Rabi Saulawa, the president of Jami Mata Ariwa. She will also be giving us her goodwill message. We also have with us the Kogi State Broadcasting Organization Director General, talking about Haja Nana Hawa Yusuf, who will be joining us also. So for the first goodwill message, I'd like to call on stage Malan Garba Shehu, the chairman, Northern Media Group, for your goodwill message, sir, to be followed by the DG NBC.
Thank you. The chairman of the occasion, please allow me to stand on the established protocol. And by the way, Chairman, I will take you up politically, maybe outside this forum, because I want to dispute one of the assertions you made here. Yeah, because 10, 12, 11 years, you still don't want to give, you still don't believe we won honestly in 2015. Ato, thank you so much. So please allow me to just say a few things. One is that my own view is that, look, the media have a role to raise aspirations. I think, Prof, all of them, they have said this. You can raise the spirits of a people, you can dampen it. The way the coverage of the media is ongoing by the north of the north is depressing. When you focus on negatives all the time, there's hardly any day you don't read about dead northern industries, for instance. Yeah, industries die and some come up. Why don't you focus on those that are new? I have met a young set of Nigerians from Jigawa who are selling rice to Walmart in America. Because the rice produced by them is environment friendly, it's organic. Why don't you talk about those ones? As you talk about dead industries, I know one industrialist in Kano who has set up 12 running industries as we speak today. And those 12 industries employ more than 12,000 people, more than the government of Kano State. So we make our choices. When you talk all the time, stay on issues that depress the people, you also lower their esteem. No, raise their aspirations. Let them think of higher values, of higher societies. And that's why advertising is good. When you show a good car on television, good clothing
or good home, the masses will see it. They will say, that's a nice thing. Can I have it also? They will aspire to have it. So that's just one thing that I thought we need to do. And why do I even want to? My message to the northern broadcasters is that we make these choices as to what to highlight, what to portray. Before we came into government, it was impossible for any northern broadcaster to station in Abuja, Lagos, or Port Harcourt, where advertising revenue is. We made sure that the northern broadcaster had licensing produced to set up in Abuja, in Port Harcourt, and in Lagos, where the money is. Ask me today, how many of them have moved out of their own locations in Kano and Aduna to go to Abuja, to go to Port Harcourt, and you see, go to Kano, you see AIT in Kano, you see Channels Television in Kano. In fact, I don't want to embarrass some of the broadcasters here, but some of them, we have given them network licenses. The only two that have network licensing in the country, private broadcasters with network licenses, AIT and Channels. There are at least 2 or 3 of the northern media owners who have network. Why are they not moving out? So we continue to lament, and I feel depressed that we northerners, it's like we are suffering from the epidemic of lamentation. We just sit down and begin to lament, and we don't look at positive things. Okay? And the thing then, the thing about the problem that they should face is, I did a study a few years ago in which I found that between 70 to 90% of many of the northern states, the people in those states get their political news from the BBC. 70 to 90% get their stories from BBC and the Voice of America and the Chinese and the Chinese and all other foreign stations. How do we lose? Why are we losing the audiences? And I want to say this thing about Boran Kano, who spoke earlier from Freedom Radio, and I'm very proud to talk about my association with them early on, because the thing to do is, when you don't embrace people, when you take ownership and you say your station will serve your interests and your friends, you will lose the public. So you have to embrace the people, and that's the classic example of the people in Freedom Radio set up within 1 year. They were able to recover, they were able to make capital purchases, cover their own costs, and even make capital purchases. Why did they do so? Because nobody will come with a point of view and he will be denied access to their airwaves. But when you lock up your station and you say it will only talk or allow access to your political friends, you want to help government in power, that's your problem. So northern media has to really open up and be truly independent. And finally, because I'm not making another presentation, I want to thank you for the opportunity to do so. Thank you. But I have a feeling that in the same way that you people have come to tell us what we need to do as politicians and whatever we are, we owe it to you, the broadcasters. We ought to tell you that there are things that you are missing out on and you ought to be doing. And the major one is, of course, that you don't privatize your own radios. Don't think that you own it and you and your friends alone have access to it. Open it up. Let there be ownership by the public. If you have an opinion to express, go elsewhere. Don't use your radio and say you want to dominate the people. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Oh, yes. No, I thought somebody was coming to buy.
Thank you very much, sir. And before we call on the DGNBC, also to recognize Professor Suleiman Emir Adua from the Bayero University in Kano. Also, we have with us representing Third Eye Africa Management and the chairman of the Third Eye Media Africa TV, Ekenem Chuku Ojuyenom, also here. Thank you very much for joining us. DGBON, sir. NBC, I beg your pardon. You're welcome, sir. Also, please, like I said, we want to restrict this to 1 minute so that we can make this as quick as we can. Thank you very much.
The chairman of the occasion, our dear convener, I most especially recognize the presence of my Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation, represented by my boss, the DG Von. You're welcome, sir. Yes, the convener have set the tone of this event. He honorably informed us that my DG MBC is absent today because he's in another engagement. And the engagement is very, very clear. By tomorrow, we will be launching the free TV. The DSO will be finally launched tomorrow. So it's a plus to the media that the DSO, not the one we launch, one in Kano, one in Port Harcourt, Lagos, the DSO will be finally launched all over Nigeria tomorrow. And you will be rest assured that we'll be having on board no less than 68 channels have already been on board. And by tomorrow, we'll be having over 100 channels. So the pictures will be very clear and straightforward. So let me go straight to DG's Goodwill message. And it's going to be very simple because if honorably written it down. He said, it gives me great pleasure to convey the Goodwill message of National Broadcasting Commission to the organizers and participants of the second Liberty Symposium. I commend Liberty Media Group for convening this timely and important dialogue around the theme that speaks directly to the future of northern Nigeria and indeed the future of our nation. The challenges confronting our society demands not only thoughtful reflection, but practical collaboration among government institutions, the media, the private sector, academia, and civil society. The choice of the theme recognizes an important reality. Sustainable peace and development are built not only through public policy and security interventions, but also through the quality of information available to citizens, the strength of our institutions, and the capacity of the media to promote constructive public engagement. As Nigerian broadcast regulator, the National Broadcasting Commission remains committed to fostering a broadcasting environment that upholds professionalism, accuracy, fairness, responsibility, and the public interest. Broadcasting is more than an instrument of communication. It is a strategic national asset that shapes public perception, strengthens democratic participation, promotes national integration, and supports economic development. The media, therefore, has a profound responsibility to promote narratives that encourage dialogue over division, facts over misinformation, hope over despair, and solution over sensationalism. At a time when digital platforms have accelerated the speed of information dissemination, responsible broadcasting has become even more critical to preserving social cohesion and strengthening public confidence in our institutions. I note with particular interest the symposium's emphasis on productive power and inclusive development. Economic opportunity remain one of the strongest foundations for lasting peace. Broadcasters have an important role in amplifying innovation, entrepreneurship, investment opportunities, and successful development initiatives that inspire confidence and stimulate productive enterprise across our communities. The Commission equally recognizes the importance of regional media organizations in expanding access to information, preserving cultural identity, and giving voice to local communities. A vibrant and professionally managed regional media ecosystem contributes meaningfully to the national development by ensuring that every part of the Federation participates fully in our democratic conversation. I encourage participants to use this symposium to develop practical recommendations that will strengthen the media ecosystem, deepen collaboration across institutions, and reinforce broadcasting as a vehicle for peace building, accountability, and sustainable development. On behalf of the National Broadcasting Commission, I congratulate Liberty Media Group for the initiative and wish all participants fruitful deliberation. I am confident that the conversation and recommendations emerging from this symposium will contribute meaningfully to the continuing effort to build a more peaceful, prosperous, and united Nigeria. Thank you, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you so much, DGNBC. We'll be moving on to the next Goodwill message, which will be delivered by the representative of the Honorable Minister of Information, Jibrin Edache, the DG Voice of Nigeria. But before you do that, sir, or while you're coming to do that, when you're done here, you take your seat, sir. I've been instructed to remind you once again. Also, we are saying thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Mike Omeri, former Director General of the National Orientation Agency. You're welcome, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. And also recognizing the Director of Research, Afeni Ferry, Dr. Akin Fakbonda, who joins us also today. Thank you for being here. As soon as Jibrin Edache, the DGVON, is done, we'll be bringing on stage also the DG Archon. Please get ready. Thank you.
The chairman of the occasion, our leader and former governor of Niger State, I'm glad, sir, that when you spoke, you gave instances of the effort you made in Niger, but for me, as a defense reporter, one stood out. And I believe that that example should always be shared. At a point in Niger State when you are governor, I think it was your first tenure, there were issues around security, and there were groups who moved to a particular local government in Niger State. And even though that group is your religion, once you had security report that they are a threat to the security of the state and by extension that of the country, you took a very bold step and relocated all the group. I want to commend you. Up to now, that has remained a template for security in Niger State. The convener, our elder, Thank you for what you are doing for Northern Nigeria and by extension Nigeria. My professor, my lecturer, who we're very proud of, sir. It's always good to see you, sir. One of the benefits of what you have always not just taught us in the class, but also mentored us. Thank you very much, sir, for what you're doing. Alhaji Abbas, good to see you. There are so many elders in the room, so I can't stand on the existing protocol. Malam Garba Shehu, thank you for your service to the country, and thank you for always being there. And one of the elders in the profession, good to see you, sir. I would like to, on behalf of the Minister of Information and National Orientation, apologize. He has spoken with Alhaji Ramalan. Alhaji should also not have been here, if not because of this event. There is a major, very important stakeholder engagement that is going on now, which the rep of my colleague DGNBC spoke about, which is something that affects the entire industry, not just the present, but the future of the broadcast industry. That is the reason why the minister is not here. He has asked me to give a short goodwill message. If I said I, it is the Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation. I'm honored to be part of this very important, timely, and forward-looking gathering, and particularly the theme of this event, as has been earlier mentioned, reimagining the North, media, productive power, and the making of the next Northern Nigeria. Let me begin by commending the convener, my elder brother, for bringing together such a critical conversation at a moment when reflection and renewed action are urgently needed. The northern region of Nigeria remains central. The national development agenda must therefore place emphasis on unlocking the productive capabilities of the North, its human capital, agricultural strength, cultural diversity, and entrepreneurship energy. The federal government of Nigeria under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is fully identified with effort aimed at reimagining and repositioning the North for inclusive growth and to policy and programs that promote economic empowerment, youth engagement, infrastructure development, and social cohesion across northern Nigeria. Through initiative in agriculture, renewable energy, education, security reform, we are working to ensure that citizens in northern Nigeria experience tangible improvement in their quality of life. However, we must also recognize that no region can thrive in the absence of peace and security. The challenges of terrorism, banditry, and other forms of violent criminality in part of Nigeria remain a serious concern. The federal government is fully committed to confronting these threats decisively through strengthening collaboration among our armed forces, intelligence agency, and community-based structure. We are steadily working to restore lasting peace and stability. Invest approaches that address the root cause of insecurity, including poverty, illiteracy, and social exclusion. In this regard, the media has a critical role to play, not only as observer, but as partners in national building. And that speaks to the issue that has been raised by my professor and even Malam Garba Shehu. It is not just how the North is reported, it's also how we report ourselves. My professor spoke about our conduct on the social media. If you are on digital space,